I think the Russian influence in Ukraine is massive. I think that there is a sector of the elite that is comprador. And remember when I talked about models of development, the rent seekers versus the guys where the country becomes rich because of entrepreneurial activity? Well, there is a certain sector of the a comprador ruling class that depends on somebody else out there. And so the fight to them has to be taken in two ways. One is an economic fight through economic development and making life extremely difficult for them, and also exposing them for what they are. Just think of our Ukrainian history. How many times we failed because there was no organizing idea of society. When I heard that European Parliament Commission or something like that voted in favor to give visa-free regimes, I told somebody, there goes 10% of the pro-Ukrainian vote in Donetsk. You can have your LNR and DNR passports, and maybe you can get into Russia. You won't get anywhere else. The more that happens and becomes a model of society, and I think that's the secret about Crimea. One of the things that one should have is patience. I'm not talking patience on the Chinese scale when Zhou Enlai was asked, what do you think of the French Revolution? And he said it's too early to tell. But just have patience because the situation in Russia is unstable. As a general rule, the more authoritarian you are, the more restrictive you are, is not an indication of stability and strength, it's an indication of weakness. It means that you can only maintain control by repression. That's been tried, and everywhere it has a certain, expiry date. And that expiry date is happening. In my part of the world, I happen to watch quite closely what is going on in Russia, and just listen to what's coming out of Tatarstan complaints and this sort of thing. There are very many unhappy people. I think that, and there are also elites that have been pushed out, people who used to own businesses that have been taken over by Putin's guys from the KGB who have been put in charge of these companies and are going to drive these companies into the ground. They're simply going to drive them into the ground because they're not entrepreneurs, they're rent seekers. The number of small and medium enterprises in Russia has declined over the last couple of years. It's a worse situation than in Ukraine. So the combination of potential changes in Russia and a very good model for Ukraine means that there could be a negotiated settlement down the road in Crimea. Let's have patience.